Hello and welcome to Creature Features. Say, do you like bugs? Creeping, crawling things, their mandibles clicking, 6 hairy legs wriggling. Can't you just feel them walking all over you right now? What's that? You don't like them? Well then, we might just be talking about the wrong movie for you today then. Them, which you have to pronounce with the exclamation mark by the way, is perhaps the most deserving of any movie I've looked at to be called a creature feature. See, I finally earned my show title so you can stop saying that, Mum. It's a classic B-movie from 1954, considered one of the all-time greats of the style, and I can definitely see why. In a desert of New Mexico, a pair of cops find a young girl walking all by herself. Her family's trailer has been destroyed, and there is no sign of those responsible. The girl won't speak until given the smell of formic acid. Then she lets out a single word. A scientist inspects the evidence and comes to the conclusion that the attack was carried out by the most terrifying of creatures. Giant ants. Now they have to track down the ants' nest and kill them all, but they may already be too late. 2 new queens have hatched and left the nest, and unless they can be stopped, humanity will be wiped out. The B-movie is something that doesn't really exist anymore. Sure, there's plenty of cheap or low-quality movies out there, it's five in the money, but none of them are what I would call a B-movie. Those are what come out of the old double features, the second in the night, the cheaper of the 2 pictures, where the best of the schlock comes from. Often they ended up being the sci-fi pictures like Them, and they tend to follow the kind of patterns and tropes you still see carrying through into movies today. You know the kind of things. The women are useless, only there to be victims of the monsters or a love interest of the heroes. The military ignores the warnings of the people who actually know what's going on, leading to extra disaster. One scientist will try to preserve one of the monsters for some seriously misguided reasons. They're all over the place, and they lessen the enjoyment of the movies. For me, at least. But in Them, they aren't there. The main female character does useful things. Going along into the ant's nest because she's the only one qualified, and with no hint of a romance. The military listens to the scientists and follows their advice. And the scientists are the ones recommending killing the creatures. I guess by 1954 these tropes hadn't come about yet, meaning everyone just acts sensibly. I can't help but find it refreshing, even though it's not really an intentional effort on their part, just my own expectations being challenged. So the movie doesn't play to well-known cliches, but how is it as a film? It's not bad. There are quite a few points that drag in the middle, but by and large it's entertaining. The plot is simple but effective, the characters are perhaps a little bland but perfectly serviceable, and there's like a whole bunch of giant ants! The monsters in this movie are incredibly memorable. I mean, it's pretty easy to see the appeal in giant ants. It's taking something familiar here, something that covers so much of the planet, at least one species being on every piece of land, and it turns it into something monstrous. Giant ants that kill people. It's simple, yet immediately effective. The ants are particularly cool to look at, made as puppets because there wasn't any other way to do it back then. So when the actors are being menaced by the creatures, they're interacting with them in the physical space, and killing them with flamethrowers. It really helps the scenes to hold their tension, when the people who are getting attacked actually are, and this thing has some excellently tense scenes. None more so than the early entrance into the ant's nest. The place is filled with gas, obscuring the creatures. The characters don't fully know where to go, and there's a sense that something could strike at any moment. It's a great sequence that builds the tension expertly, leaving you excited to see what will come next. It's good because, honestly, this is kind of a silly premise. It could easily have been a much more stupid movie than it actually turned out to be. But it takes the idea seriously and gives weight to its themes. It always feels worth getting into a movie when it cares enough to take a strange idea like this and actually put some effort in. So that's Them, a classic creature feature. With its strongly written characters, good puppetry and well-realised tension, this manages to avoid a lot of the tropes and pitfalls of the sci-fi B-movies of the period. It's one that I would recommend checking out if you're a fan of giant monsters. So, until next time, this has been Creature Features.
What we've seen speaks for itself. The Corvair spacecraft has apparently been taken over, conquered, if you will, by a master race of giant space ants. It's difficult to tell from this vantage point whether they will consume the captive Earthmen or merely enslave them. One thing is for certain, there is no stopping them. The ants will soon be here. And I, for one, welcome our new insect overlords. I'd like to remind them that as a trusted TV personality, I can be helpful in rounding up others to toil in their underground sugar caves.